Hi guys, it's Amy with Aim to Plan, and today we are going to be flipping through my Halloween planner. So it's actually time to get it set up for October. I cannot believe that. It is going into the Burr months, right? So obviously we're in September now, and we have October, November, and December to come up, and it's time to pull out my holiday planners and start having fun in them. So what I wanted to do before we start putting together 2025 pages is to kind of show you my setup for my Halloween planner. And so this planner does have pages from multiple years, from I think even 2020 all the way through. And what I wanted to do is flip through this planner, but also kind of talk to you about like the purpose and what I was thinking for the planner. I do have several videos where I have flipped through this planner and kind of set it up, so I'll link those in the description so you can watch those from previous years. For this video, I really just kind of wanted to blend it a little bit, obviously flipping through the pages, but really just kind of explain the rationale for why I did what I did. So what I have done is set this planner up on a deluxe cover from the Happy Planner, which are very hard. These covers are very hard to find now. I also just did this yesterday. I moved the Halloween planner to expander discs. I decided to go with this strawberry color. You'll see it a little bit more clearly when I get into it. But I have in here, it's a pretty basic setup, I think. Not anything super decorated. It's actually a very functional planner for me, and that's the big thing, is I really needed something that keeps track of the traditions for my family without being so overwhelming that I feel like I'm adding a ton of extra work for myself. So again, like here are the expander discs. They're, I think, the strawberry color, but they, to me in real life, look kind of orange, so I thought it was a good combination with the black cover. So that was that. Before this upgrade, they were actually on just regular classic size discs, so I really like the upgrade because it gives me just extra room, and putting it in the deluxe cover is perfect with the expander discs. I think that works out perfectly. Now, I definitely want my Halloween planner to be cute, so I made this cover, I think, a year or two ago. I just designed it on Canva and just printed it out. There are some errors, but I definitely really love this cover. I think it's super cute. And I found a wallpaper that I just kind of like printed for the inside cover. And the back looks very similar. I won't pull that out, but it looks very similar. Okay, so let's get into talking about like different components here. I have in this Halloween planner, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 9 sections. The very first section is my question and answer journal. One of the things that I had for Sophia when she was about 3 years old, I started a question and answer journal for her. I wanted it to be a year-long thing where I'm asking her questions and then I just record her responses. So starting in 2020 and going through 2026, I was just going to write down her answers. Now, as I flip through this, you will see that it's actually very empty. I did it well enough. I have not printed out the questions to cover up this side, but I'm using it just as like a row of 4, and the questions are across this way. And it was just a fun project. I did have it for January through December in a single book, but I decided to split up the question and answer journal into its, I guess, like the specific holiday planner that it should be housed in. So October is here, November is with my Thanksgiving planner, December is with Christmas, and then January through September is with my just like, I guess, seasonal planner. So that is the first section, and again, like, I didn't do a great job with it. It's something where I'm really considering just kind of retiring this whole process of like the planner and just converting it to a digital, like maybe a Google Calendar or something like that. So that was something that I definitely did early on, and it even predated the Halloween planner. And so when I set up the Halloween planner, I just decided to include this in here just because even though it's not Halloween specific, it was for October. So that was definitely included in here, and I just put it in the very front. Now, the other 8 sections in here are the sections that I actually created with the Halloween planner. And so these were the ones where I've, over the years, just kind of collected different things related to Halloween and just put them in here. Some of these pages are from previous planners that I either just made a copy of it, or I just moved the pages directly in here after I decided to create the Halloween planner. And then some pages, especially after I created the Halloween planner in 2022, they were pages made directly for this planner. So definitely anything that's before 2022 were like either copies or things I moved from other planners. Okay, so this first divider then is calendar. One of the things that I think is really kind of fun is to keep track of any like community events in my area that are related to Halloween. And so this first calendar, or this first section, is that calendar of like all these Halloween events. So this divider here, I actually found just 8 random dividers, double-sided dividers, in my stash that I thought was like the most Halloween like, and on top of it I just pasted like this printable that I designed using some digital stickers from Wrong from a couple of years ago. And so I just printed it out on white cardstock and just pasted it in here. But this first one is, I haven't labeled it, but it's supposed to be calendar, right? And again, double-sided dividers. And so this one is, I think, from 2021. So just as an example, I decorated it in the Halloween theme. This is a copy from Sophia's planner. And so it had like the cute pumpkins, things like that. And then I'm just writing in community events. So that's just kind of what I like to do. And this is what makes it separate as a Halloween planner instead of just my regular planner. These Halloween specific events are not things that I would necessarily put into my personal planner unless we actually attended it. I just like to keep track of events even if I'm not attending it, and so they go here. And of course most community events are going to be on the weekends, so they tend to lean that way, as you can see. I did for this copy, this is Sophia's memory book, and so I did keep track of actual events that we attended as well. And then there are, of course, community events that I just wrote in here as well. And I didn't really worry about marking things that we did or did not attend. I just wrote everything in here. And over time, you'll see that it tends to be not any of our personal events. It's really only community events or family events that we actually attended that were Halloween specific. So this is just the first month. Right, and then going here, this is 2022. This was from Jane's Agenda, a vellum from one of her sub boxes. And then this is the acetate version of the front cover that I just put in here. Right, and then going into this, in 2022, I decided to create this Halloween planner. So that's when the dividers and the printables and this printable from Etsy actually came into play. So I printed out this Halloween planner. I did find it on Etsy. If I'm able to find it again, I will link it in the description so you can find this for yourself and purchase it. But I did purchase it and just printed out the pages that I thought would be helpful, useful, fun to kind of fill out for Halloween. I did print it out just on regular like copy paper, one-sided. And then as I needed to, I would pull pages from that stack and just punch it. So some of them I punched on the right side, some I did on the left, as you can see. So this is the first part of it. I had the September planner as well as the October planner. Here, I didn't write as many Halloween events on this side, so I just tracked weather. And then this side, there are some Halloween specific events, and so I just listed those in here. I also decided around this time that it would be Halloween and also any fall events in my community that were like very specific to that time frame. So even though they weren't Halloween specific, they were just fall events, like events that typically occurred in the fall. So those are on here. A good example of this is like the fair. I don't know if I put it in here, but definitely the fair occurs in the fall every single year for us. So sometimes it overlaps with Halloween. So it'll be like the few days before Halloween, the day of Halloween, and then a few days after. So those types of things I do note in here. Okay, so with the Halloween planner for this year, 2022, they also had daily pages. So for the week of Halloween, I decided to break it down to more specific Halloween specific events in the community. So that's there. Sophia also had dress out week for Halloween week. So I put those notes here, and then daily schedules. Some of the events here were very like specific to a day, like Saturday the 22nd was a very busy day, so I just listed all of those things out. And again, I didn't do all of these events. I just like to track the things that are happening in my community. I just think that's fun. And then here, this was the daily planner for October 30th, and again, I just wrote out some things that I thought would be fun. Again, they're not all things that I personally did. They're just all like fall or Halloween events. Going into 2023 then, I changed my style here and decided to use Sweet Kawaii Design stickers for 2023. And so for the monthly, what I decided to do was just use an actual monthly from a Work Plus Life planner. The Sweet Kawaii Design kits have a holiday every single day, and so I put the holidays here. You see this note that is Sweet Kawaii Design. This is for September, as you can see, so there were not as many fall or Halloween events. So then going into October, again, Sweet Kawaii Design, I actually didn't put any events in here. I guess I must have just given up or decided not to use it, or just ran out of time, or switched to something different. But as you can hear here already, I have 2022, which was the printable, 2023, which was Sweet Kawaii Design with Work Plus Life. Going back into 2024, which was last year, I decided to try to use down my stash. So in the back here, I have a bunch of like random extra pages that I have not used yet, and so I decided just to use some of the old printable pages that I printed in 2022 and just not used. And so I just updated everything and just listed it here. So again, this is not like a monthly per se, but it's just a list of the things in October that were Halloween specific events. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. I think the other sections will be a little bit less explanatory, but I just really like tracking events, and so that was like, I think, 80% of it, right? So the second divider, again, wrong cover and everything on just a random divider. So the thing for this section is my bucket list. And so this was from 2021. There were a couple of bucket list items that I did mark off. This was a printable, again, or a copy of Sophia's memory book. So I just copied it and put it in here to count as Halloween planning from predating the actual development of this Halloween planner. I have a couple of pieces here. This was from 2022, the 2022 bucket list, and then in 2022, when Sophia was, I guess she was like 4 or 5, we wanted to watch through Vampirina as our like Halloween movies, and so I just wrote it out by hand, the list of all of the Vampirina shows and episodes. So that is that. And I just like to keep it as a bucket list. I really think that one of the big things about a bucket list is just having fun traditions, right? And so I want to, over time, be able to see the traditions that we typically engage in for Halloween and include cute things, right? So this is from Jane's Agenda. I just included that in here. I don't do this every single year, but I do like to read like maybe spooky books. Sometimes, definitely before I had kids, I read a lot of books, and so I would, during the fall months, really pick up a lot of fall themed books to read. I haven't done that lately, but it's just nice to have that as a reminder that I used to do those things. And then here is just reminders. This is actually a to-do list. I don't really love it in here, but it's a blend of like bucket list items and to-do list items, and so I just left it in here. Here's another example. This is from 2023 of a bucket list that I created. I think that's super cute. All right, and this is brand new. I have not flipped through this yet on my channel. Again, in the calendar section, I showed you 2024. It was very basic, right? That one. And so this was the 2024, again, using just unused printable pages from 2022. I just relabeled it for 2024. And so this was our task list for 2024, just making sure we got our costumes. I wanted to purchase some Halloween nails, decor, and food for Halloween. Obviously, some of these things did not get filled out. We definitely did purchase costumes, and we decided as a family to be the Healer family from Bluey. So basically, we would just purchase costumes. Right, and again, going back to the purpose of this particular section, I really think it's fun over time to be able to see the things that we do consistently versus things that kind of come and go, right? So you saw reading. I read. Sometimes I read a lot more before kids, and now I want to get back into reading, and it's nice to have that memory in here. It's also nice to see that every single year, regardless of where we are, what stage of life we are, I like to dress up as a family and to know what we did as a family. So, just having those lists in here and just seeing those memories and keeping the bucket list items in particular, and just knowing, for example, that I really love to eat all the candy, go apple picking. Some things are just so fun to do during the fall. So that's why I do that section. This third section is all about budget. And so I left this in here essentially because, you don't want to overspend for the holiday season. And so I want to make sure that what I purchased for Halloween is a reasonable amount, not overbuying candy, not overbuying on costumes, not overbuying on decor. So I try not to be super strict with myself about budgeting for holidays, but I definitely want to monitor it. So again, wrong cover that I just kind of printed out myself on a double-sided divider. And then these pages are from 2022, and I think they're the only pages. So I didn't do this for 2023 or 2024, but I just listed out some of our budget items. Actually, I think, yeah, these are both from 2022. So I started listing out my actual budget and then having a running list of the different things that I actually did purchase and kind of where they came from in the budget. And so that was nice. Again, I try not to be super strict about it, but it's really nice to have a budget. If you are kind of leaning towards making sure that you have a reasonable Halloween experience, make sure that you're watching your money. I think that's important. Okay, so this fourth one is costumes. Yeah, so this section is, of course, all the different costumes that we have planned over the years. I do have two little girls. Sophia right now is 8, Rose is 2. I personally love to have family costumes, and so all of my notes are in here for those things. And so I think this is kind of the most self-explanatory section, so we'll just flip through it. Right, this is from 2020, I think, 1. Yeah, so Sophia had dress up day at school, Red Ribbon Week. So she had a dress out day every single day of that week, including Halloween. Right, this was 2022. Sophia wanted to be the Applejack family from My Little Pony. So she was Apple Bloom, I think. Yeah, Apple Bloom, and I was Applejack. Her dad was Big Macintosh. All right, and this page I won't blur out, but because it's just me and Sophia when she was a baby, but these are our costumes over the years. On the other side, my husband's on here, so I'll definitely have to blur out some of it. He doesn't like to be on camera, but these were her dress out days for 2021. And then here are some My Little Pony pictures. Like, I'll blur him out right here. Then for 2022, we were Aunt Peppa, not Aunt Peppa specifically, but Encanto. So I purchased for Sophia Aunt Peppa, and then I was heavily pregnant at that time, so I decided to be Louisa. It just made sense, I thought, to be Louisa, just because of, I don't know, I was pregnant. I could have gone with like Winnie the Pooh or something else, but that seemed to be the character that fit the best in Encanto with being pregnant. So again, I'm still in 2022 using these printables, right? And then in 2023, oh, this is 2022 as well, actually. So she had another dress out week, Red Ribbon Week. And then here, I literally have just this like little micro that talked about ordering the Bluey costumes. Right, then going into this fifth section, this is all about partying and like, not partying, but like just crafts, right? So like just having fun. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. And so again, wrong, double-sided divider, just like a random bookmark from Jane's Agenda. And then I colored this. I thought that was super cute. I just cut it out and then put it on some Halloween scrapbook paper. And same thing here. All right, and that's pretty much it. So it's meant to be arts and crafts, and so like the different Halloween crafts that the girls make. I try not to put that in here though, and so you'll see some of those crafts a little bit later. But I want this really to be a place where I'm planning the different types of things that I can do that are age appropriate for the girls. And so I really want it to lean more towards planning, less about like pieces that are like done. So I want it to be about the planner, not about the done projects, like the completed projects. So I want to, in 2025, just add a page and start coming up with different craft projects that we could do, and just like having a list. I don't have to do it all, but just having a list of things that we could do. So that's what that section I envisioned was all about. Okay, this next section is, I think, class parties and things like that. Yes. Okay, so this one, I need to label these for sure. But this one I used, again, wrong. I thought this one fit with like the class party or like party theme. Right, again, on a double-sided divider. Right, so this page I do have to blur out, but these are just invitations to Halloween parties. So that's kind of what that is. And like different, like the Halloween cards that you get at school. So that's pretty much it. And then I printed the acetate, but I also got this piece of vellum from Jane's Agenda from that sub box that I showed earlier. There was that chapter 10, I think. And so this is part of that same kit. And so I just put that on top. I thought that was a nice layering. But yeah, that was just parties and invitations and like Halloween cards. And again, I don't keep everything. I just keep the big things, right? So looking through this, I like to see the different types of events that I should be planning for, and like where Sophia will need to potentially have a costume. We need to plan for like Halloween cards for her class bags, treat bags, that type of thing. So just having this section really helps me with that. All right, just a couple more sections. This one is actual party planning. So it's all the menus, right? So it says eat, drink, and be merry. So this is party planning and like menu planning. So I'll have to blur this out, but this was when I was back in Wild University in 2021. I printed this out. It's a recipe for making poisoned caramel apples, which I've never made, but I thought it fit in here, of course, for Halloween. And then there's ghoulish finger cookies, monster eyeball truffles. Again, I'll have to blur it out, but it's definitely some recipes from Wild University for a Halloween themed party. I thought that was super cute. Right, and then this is from 2022, again, using that same printable set. I decided to print out some recipes from the internet, right? So the first one was spider eggs. So it's basically deviled eggs with like olives. just kind of poking out. It's like super cute. I should have printed a photo so you can see that. And then this other one is mummy dogs. So that's like hot dogs with like crescent roll dough like kind of wrapped around it to make it look like a mummy. Super cute. Again, probably should have put a photo here. All right, and then I think there's only one other one. Yeah, for this one, I decided for 2022, I just wanted to print out like this kind of, it's not charcuterie, it's just a snack board. So these are like the mummy dogs. Like they look like that, so cute, right? And then you can have like these kind of like oranges, tangerines, or you know, like any kind of mini oranges, and just put like a little stem in there to make it look like pumpkins. Super cute, right? So it was just inspiration, right? And so again, the things that I want to kind of try to do, just putting it in here so that way I have it as a reference for future years. I'm not really big into like theming things, and I'm not a huge cook either, but it's nice to really try to do something like this for Halloween. Okay, the last one here is, you know, again, like wrong, some of her quotes. This is the section where all of my memories should go. So going back here, these should technically be in the section. I just left them in there just because otherwise it would be empty, you know, and I wouldn't know what the section is. So when I actually get craft plans in here, I will probably move these front little pieces into the memory section. So this memory section, in contrast to everything else, which is planning, finding photos, finding inspiration, trying to think about food and costumes and everything else, just planning for like which days we need to do things and which costumes go where. That's all planning, right? Here, after those events have happened, do I have photos? Do I have notes? Do I have journaling to kind of put together? So this whole section is meant to be that memories. I don't actually have them in here. I have separate books. I will link those in the description so you can watch those as well. But I have a Halloween kind of memory book from 2022, I believe, which I call my boo book. It's like a little super tiny macro book that I put together, super cute. So I will put that. And I did a September smash book, which I'm also going to classify as fall, even though it's not Halloween. And I'm putting those as like part of my memories. They're just not in here because they're like giant, like stuffed full, right? But they should be in here. It's just not in here. Okay, so this is memories. For all of the memories that are outside of that September Smash book and that Halloween 2022 book, they're in here. So again, this is a copy from Sophia when she was, this was 2017, when she was, no, 2018, when she was less than a year old. I have some Jane's Agenda items in here. And then this is from 2024 when we were Bluey. I'm trying to remember. So one of the things that I did for Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas was I bought a series of Bluey seasonal books, coloring books, and so this was just one of the pages that I think Sophia colored, and this is the page that Rose colored, and so that was from 2024. Again, I don't have in here the September Smash book or the October Boo book. What I think I'm going to do is actually print, like maybe make a copy of like the front of it and just put it in here as like a sheet of paper and just say this is the September book from whatever year, and like find it in the memory books. So I have a specific location for those like kind of thicker items where I just can't store it in here, right? But these are the items that I've got here, and then the back of this is just all of the things that I've got that I have not used yet. So for 2025, I'm definitely, again, going to try to use the stack up. I have in here a couple of photo papers that I have cut and punched and put in here. These are from like an old photo album. So it's just like one of those cheap photo album books. So I cut it off of the book and then put some sticker paper over like the plastic edge and just punched that. And it was actually able to punch pretty nicely, and so I'm able to kind of like put my notes in here. It kind of is on this side, so I can stick those things in there, right? And then I have all of my scrapbook papers, which I punched a couple of, I would say about a year ago. I just punched all of my 8.5 by 11 Halloween and fall scrapbook papers, seasonal papers, and put that in here. I also had some black paper, which I, trimmed down to classic size and put in here as well, so I can definitely use those. And then here's some additional like pages that I didn't use from 2022, that 2022 Etsy planner. So there's just lots of pages. I just literally just opened it up, hit print, copied one-sided, and so I just have that in here. Some more like acetate from Wrong that I printed out, guest list invitations. There are definitely sections that I can use these in. I just didn't use them in previous years, but I definitely want to, again, try to use them, or if not use them, I could just cover this up and just use it for lines if I need to, right? Like right here, I just covered that up and I could just relabel it and then just use it for space. All right, game ideas, party planner. All right, and there's several more pages. I won't flip through everything like that, but there are several other pages. Again, if you're interested in that printable, I will try to find it on Etsy so you can see that. But again, the whole goal really is to be able to keep the memories and the plans from previous years in one single space, so that way when it's 2025 and it hits October, which it will happen like in a week, right? I'm not sitting here thinking, okay, it's now October, how did I do this in previous years, and have to like think through like 360 days to try to find it. I have it in a planner. So that's the whole purpose of this, is to really mostly focus on the planning side of it and keeping notes for what we like to do as a family in terms of traditions, costumes, things like that. So that way I have it as a reference point. I also, as you saw at the very end, I like to keep my memories in here as well, but that tends to be less of a focus. Of course, I want to have memories and pictures and things like that, but really I want it as a reference for the planning of Halloween. So that's what this book is all about. So that's why I call it my Halloween planner. So that's it. Again, I will link everything that I can in the description box, so make sure you check out those previous videos if you're interested in them. But that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to my channel, and until the next video. Bye guys.